Hey guys, just a quick video, hopefully enticing you to pick up the Pokemon trading card game, seeing as it's the best game of all time. I'm going to do a tournament game, which is quite good when you're first starting out because you can win packs, which you can then trade for some of the most desirable Pokemon. Some of them can be quite expensive, in inverted commas, in terms of packs, but you can get enough packs just by doing tournaments. It's just building your first deck that might be a little bit difficult. So this is a deck that's not the most expensive ever. It's good because the Pokemon you attack with is only worth one prize card. So Pokemon like this that have a GX or an EX on them are worth two prizes if you knock them out. Because they're sort of more powerful, you get a bigger reward for knocking them out. Usually they have more HP and special attacks, and even attacks you can only use once during the whole game because they're supposedly a lot better than the other ones. But this is the Pokemon that we'll be putting down to attack with. It's Xerneas. I believe it's one of the legendary Pokemon from like the X and Y era, which is a couple of kind of eras ago, or maybe even the one before last. But what we're going to be doing is putting this Pokemon down, and we're going to be trying to ramp up lots of energy on all the rest of our Pokemon sitting on the bench. So we're going to start by attacking with this attack called Geomancy, where we pick two bench Pokemon and attach a fairy energy from our deck. That's really, really powerful because what you're doing is thinning your deck of cards, so you have so it's more likely that you're going to draw into the cards that you actually want. So really powerful kind of attack there. It doesn't do damage, but it's like a setup attack. Then what we do, we evolve into this break. It's a bit of an ongoing joke that these cards are always sideways on the computer, so you do have to tilt your head. But basically, this attack live stream, you do 20 damage for each fairy energy that is on your board. So basically, a really, really powerful attack as the game goes on. And we have some support Pokemon to help us kind of get all the cards that we need. We have Oranguru, which is hilariously named, obviously, after a guru, but it's an orangutan. So obviously, since we've played this when we were younger, the names have got a lot more creative. But this has a really interesting ability called Instruct, where if you put your hand size down below 3 cards, you can draw up to 3, which is a really nice little ability if you're kind of stuck and you want to draw some cards. We then have this card called Electrike, which has an ancient trait. Now, these things aren't really printed anymore, but this is still legal for tournament play, and it basically means that your opponent can't do anything to this card. It can't take the energy off it, it can't bring it up into the active spot if it's on your bench. So what I plan to do is just place a load of energy on this, knowing that it's safe. We then have two kind of what you would call tech attackers, which you would only use in certain matchups. Mewtwo, you'll probably recognize this art because this is from a kind of reprinted evolution set, which came out around at the same time as Pokemon Go, to give everyone a bit of nostalgia. And basically, it's only the attack Psychic that we can use, seeing as we don't actually play Psychic Energy. But this is really good in matchups where you're facing Pokemon who are Psychic, because often, as you can see here, Psychic Pokemon are actually weak to other Psychic Pokemon. So basically, if we have an opposing Pokemon with lots of energy and it happens to be Psychic, we put this up, hopefully play down one of our double colorless energies so our opponents can't see it coming, and we hopefully will knock some of these quite dangerous Psychic Pokemon out straight away without the opponent really being able to prepare. We have this, our last support Pokemon called Oricorio, and this bird from the latest Pokemon game basically has different iterations, and we've got this Psychic one, and we're using this again for certain matchups, and a really interesting attack where you can place damage counters anywhere on the board depending on how many Pokemon you've basically knocked out of the opponents, which is really useful. Some decks rely on having lots of their own Pokemon in their discard pile for sort of revenge attacks. So this is a tech attacker in the pure sense, really, just for certain matchups. This is the most expensive card sort of currently played that's not rotating out after August. This is Tapu Lele GX. It goes for about £30, I think, in real life. Basically, every deck plays at least 2. What you do is when you play this Pokemon down onto your bench, you can search for any supporter. it's a game-changing ability in terms of the meta, because what it enables you to do is run lots of one-ofs in terms of supporters. So supporters that you would love to see on your opening hand, but don't want, but they're not that useful later on in the game. So you wouldn't ever want to clog your deck up with 4 of them, because once you've used them once, you don't want to use them again. So what you can do is use an Ultra Ball or a Ball Search card to get your Tapu Lele, put it down, and then basically choose the exact supporter from your deck that you want. So we'll be always trying to use Bridget on the first turn to put down lots of our Pokemon, and at other points we can Hex to stop the opponent's abilities if that's important to them, N if we're behind so that we can catch up, and Lysander if we want to switch one of their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. So that's really important. You can play without it, but that's the only card I've technically bought, really, because it's just so important. We've got a bunch of item cards to help us do more damage in Choice Band, to keep energy on the board in EXP share. We've got these stadiums here called Fairy Garden, which allows us to retreat our Pokemon. You can get items that help you retreat, but we're not actually playing any of those. We've got Super Rod to get back any knocked out Pokemon or energy cards from our discard pile. And we've got Max Elixirs, which is a really interesting and a card that's played an awful lot. It kind of falls into the category of accelerating energy placement. And what you do, you look at the top 6 cards of your deck, and if you find a basic energy card there, you can actually attach it to your Pokemon, as long as it's on your bench. So it's a really good way of speeding up the energy you have on the board. And this deck is all about getting lots and lots of energy down. Remember, because we're trying to use this live stream attack. We've then got the supporters, which I've sort of gone through, apart from Sycamore, which is the most aggressive draw supporter in the game, a staple for a couple of years now, basically. It's always reprinted, and you just throw away your hand, if you like, and draw 7 more cards, so it's really good for thinning your deck. And the last 2 cards we have are energy cards, so you always have your basic energy cards, which you'll probably remember from when you were young. We're playing Fairy Energy because we've got Fairy Pokemon that we're attacking with, and the rest of the Pokemon that we want have have colorless attack costs, which means we could theoretically use any energy to fulfill that need. We're also playing a couple of these double colorless energies. The maximum we could play would be 4, and most decks, when they're playing a special energy, will play the full count of 4, but we're playing 2 because it's not super important. It actually does count as a Fairy Energy when attached in terms of our live stream attack, so we can put it down and it counts as 40 damage, which can really surprise an opponent. But it's sort of mainly there to use Psychic really, really quickly, so the opponent doesn't expect it. Last but not least, one of the most important cards in this meta, VS Seeker, where you can use supporters again that you've previously used. So it's really good for reusing some of these really important supporters. Usually you will play 4, but actually there's a deck that counters you using lots of items. So you'll see we're not using too many items here. So that's really important when we face that matchup, if we do, to actually be kind of tough on ourselves and not use too many items. Okay, so we're going to jump into the tournament now. You'll find it in events, and hopefully we win. Okay, here we go. So we're against the deck with Psychic and Colorless Energy. So I wonder what that could be. So we're going to pick heads and hope that we can go first. It's always good to go first. You can obviously get the first energy placement and also evolve your Pokemon first. So the only basic Pokemon we get, unfortunately, is Mewtwo, which is, I'm pretty sure it's weak to Psychic. It is, so that might go down, but it's only worth 1 prize anyway, so. Okay, so a Cosmog. So this is either going to be a Solgaleo deck or a Lunala deck. So we need to try and get some Pokemon on our bench, but we don't have that much choice. So I'm just going to attach the double colorless, and I just have to pass, really. So let's see what the opponent does. So probably the strategy of this deck, if it's Solgaleo, is to evolve into the Solgaleo and then basically spread lots of energy throughout the board by using its GX attack. but we don't get any clues yet. Now, the opponent hasn't attached any energy to this Pokemon, so at the moment, this attack is doing just 20 damage, but it will double to 40. So that's slightly unfortunate, and we're going to get poisoned because this item says if we attack into the active Pokemon, our Pokemon is now poisoned. What we could do, seeing as it's the only supporter we've got, we're gonna burn the Lysander and just attack into this one, I guess, by using Psychic. It's reminding us that we can attach energy, but there's no other Pokemon to attach energy to, so there's not really much point. So what we're looking for here basically is we need more Pokemon to put on our bench, especially because this deck is all about ramping up energy. We're at a little bit of a disadvantage at the moment, but he's not particularly, he can't have a great hand because he's just passing without evolving either. And we draw into another energy. Okay, at least we're going to get a prize. We could Lysander up something else. This Tauros has an attack basically where if you attack it, it can then use that damage to attack you with Rage. It's weak. It's not weak to anything that we have. So I think what we're going to do, the trouble is though, if he puts another energy down, can he knock us out? Well, we're just going to have to go for it, I guess. We're just going to knock this out. Hopefully we get a supporter off the prize cards. Let's try. We do. We get a Sycamore, which means we're going to have to discard a lot. But at this stage, we do need one of these really aggressive draw supporters where we actually have to discard our hand and draw 7 cards. This is a absolute staple in almost all decks where they'll play the maximum 4 of them. It's definitely the most aggressive draw supporter. So we got it just in time. Okay. We got a Bridget, which is actually very useful. It enables us to get down 3 basic Pokemon. So we're going to definitely do that. So this Xerneas is really a vital part of our deck. So we're probably just going to get 3 of those. Are there any Pokemon that are really going to help us in this matchup? We're just going to get 3 Xerneas, I think, guys. Are we going to have to ramp that much? No. It's most important to get these Xerneas. We're going to put a choice band on one of them. Let's just wait. We're going to use this max elixir. So what this enables you to do is look at some of the cards at the top. And if there's an energy card, you can just attach it. So depending on the amount of energy on your deck, you have a chance depending on that. However, we have 3 energy in hand, which is really frustrating. But we're just going to see what the chances are. So we do get one, which is pretty cool. So we're just going to put it on one of our other Pokemon. And what we're going to look to do is use this first attack called Geomancy, where you can take energy from your deck and place it onto your bench Pokemon. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to retreat this and deny him a prize. We're going to put forth this Xerneas here. There's no point attaching the choice band because he can use items to get rid of it. And also, we're not actually attacking for any damage. So we're just going to go ahead and Geomancy. The maximum he can do is 60 damage to us because we are not a GX or EX. So we're going to pick our 2 Xerneas. I have no idea what the plural of Xerneas is. And because we've attacked, that is the end of our go. And we're going to look and see what the opponent does. So this Tauros is really strong if you attack into it. So because we've got a Lysander already in the discard pile, we're going to hope to play around it. Because if you don't damage it, its output isn't that great. It's more of an awkward Pokemon to delay your opponent as opposed to something that can be. He still hasn't evolved, which is good for us. Now, we've still got our Sycamore. We don't have any supporters that will allow us to shuffle in things, and these BS Seekers are quite valuable. But we may well have to draw some more Pokemon. We want more targets for our Geomancies, seeing as we're going to get 1 more from here. So what we'll do is we'll use this max elixir. I don't expect to get anything. Okay, fair enough. We will attach an energy here. Should we Lysander up? We could Lysander. No, I think at this point we sort of need to be aggressive. So we're going to put this down. And we're going to have to Sycamore 2 VS Seekers away, which is unfortunate, but... So how many? So we're down just the 2. We do now have a stadium, which is going to give us free retreat. We have a super rod to get back any energy that we lose. We'll save that for when we lose this Xerneas. I do think I'm going to use this Ultra Ball to get a Pokemon. Now, because we know we have the super rod in hand, we could afford to use the Ultra Ball to get rid of this energy. I don't think retreating is going to be too important in the next few turns, so I'm going to just choose to get rid of a Fairy Garden and an energy, seeing as we've done our attachment for turn. We are going to get... We don't have any draw supporters. That's the real difficulty there. So we might have to get a Tapu Lele, which has a really good ability where when you put it down, you can get a draw supporter. So I think we're going to have to do that to get something a little bit more aggressive with our draw. But Tapu Lele is a fairly good attacker anyway, so we'll just put it down. And we're going to say yes to the ability. And we can pick for a number of supporters. So Hex might be important later because both of the Stage 2 Pokemon that evolve from this Cosmog thingamajiggy do have really good abilities. Is there anything we... We're going to put this stadium down, so we're probably just going to go for another really aggressive draw supporter, to be quite honest. After super rolling some stuff back in. So that'll be for next turn, because we've already used our supporter. And we are going to just Geomancy here. We're not going to put the stadium down because he could just bump it. We don't need the choice band. So we will Geomancy. We're going to go on to... will we ever need 3 energy? No. We'll spread those 2. Because it's unlikely that he's going to want to Lysander up this, because it's only 1 prize. He may well choose to do so. But hopefully we can draw into some EXP shares where if this does go down, we can reattach the energy somewhere else. So finally he's got a card or an item card that's going to allow him to evolve up. But it's still relatively slow. I'm hoping he doesn't have many other Pokemon. Hopefully we could Lysander that up. Let's see. So we're just going to promote any of the Pokemon with a Fairy energy, seeing as we have our Fairy Garden to actually... retreat. Basically, any Pokemon that has this any fairy energies attached to it will be given free retreat. And seeing as we only play fairy energy, all of our Pokemon, when we attach to them, will have free retreat. So we are going to Lysander this turn. So I think we're going to choice ban the Xerneas because we always want to attack with them if possible because they're only worth 1 prize. Now, how much damage do we have? So our attack, once we actually get our Pokemon, fingers crossed, basically does 20 damage for each energy. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So we're doing 120 damage. So for tempo, I think it would be pretty good to Lysander this up. But unfortunately, we did attach energies elsewhere, and we need to draw into our actual break, our further stage. So perhaps if we'd attached the energy to this one, we could have just knocked it out, but we're going to be forced to use Professor Sycamore. So maybe a misplay, but hey, what can you do? We're going to use our Super Rod, get back the Xerneas and 2 energies. So with our hopefully 2 remaining max elixirs, we have a better chance. So we're going to put those back in. Oh, we've got a max elixir, so we could choose to knock it out still. So if this hits, unfortunately it doesn't. So even with the 2 extra energy, it didn't hit, which is slightly disappointing. But to be honest, the advantage of this is we can get down some more Pokemon to spread energy. So we're definitely going to put a Xerneas down. Now this Pokemon's really interesting. It has an ancient trait here that basically doesn't allow the opponent to interfere with it in any way. So it can be used as a way to place loads of energy. I don't think I'm going to put it down just in case we want to grab another supporter. And we have got 2 good places to place our energy from Geomancy. We're only going to get hit with 60 damage here. So I think we're just going to Geomancy, to be honest. We'll just Geomancy onto the Tapu Lele and the Xerneas with no energy on it. We're still waiting for one of our 3 breaks, which actually contains the attack that we want to use in this matchup. So he has got his Lunala out. So that's going to allow him to move energy across the board. So that really was a really unfortunate thing that he knocked that Pokemon out. I think we are going to have to put down this Electrike here just to load up with energy, seeing as the opponent can't do anything. We could Hex, but I want... How much damage can this do? 120, so it can't even knock us out. But saying that, we need to start getting into our breaks. So we are going to just have to Sycamore here. We need to keep an eye on the time. I've only got 3 minutes because I've been yabbering for so long. So we're going to evolve this one and retreat into it. Mind you, saying that we could Geomancy. We missed the Max Elixir, which is unfortunate. I am going to get another break out of the deck just because it's good to thin the deck and get some more attackers out. So let's see how much money would how much damage we're doing. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So we are going to knock this out. So I think that's what we'll do. So we're gonna, which one should we evolve? We'll evolve this one, seeing as we've got an energy in hand. We've got a choice band as well, so we didn't need all that energy really. We'll evolve into the healthy one, and we're just gonna live stream. So we'll pick a couple of prize cards. Hopefully it's a double colorless energy or something to really ramp up our damage. Unfortunately, the draw supporter we do have is N. So N is a card you want to use really in the late game. So if we do hit into this Pokemon, we are going to get poisoned, but we've got so many Pokemon on the bench that hopefully will be all right. He hasn't drawn particularly well, so we'll see what he does. This could be almost what you would refer to as a psychic box deck. So all about transferring energy. So he's going to use his GX attack, which is his special attack where he can choose to knock out one of our basic Pokemon. And he chooses the Mewtwo, which is really, really weird. He could have chosen the Tapu Lele for 2 prizes. How no, he couldn't, because that is a GX Pokemon. So we might as well put down the Xerneas to thin the deck. We'll put the Choice Band on this one because we'll be attacking with it. We'll put this down so it has the energy requirements to attack. We'll end ourselves down, but also him down to 4 cards because it's dependent on the number of prizes here. So no ways to get any more energy. So we're probably just going to smack into it, and hopefully he can't do anything after that. So I think it's going to be 10 damage again. So we are poisoned. We might get knocked out going back into our go. No, we should have 10 HP left unless he has any damage modifiers. So we are going to see here. So like I said, this is kind of like a psychic box deck. So that means he's gonna have lots of different psychic Pokemon to attach with, and we can spread the energy around really effectively here. At the moment, though, he doesn't really have a super effective way to retreat. He plays the Pokemon Center Lady to heal his Pokemon. But if he keeps it in the active, we're still going to be knocking it out. So we have 10 HP left. So that was a bit of a silly move, to be honest, because he's left all this energy and he could have moved it. So we're going to get the poison off. Otherwise, we are going to get knocked out. So we are going to retreat, seeing as our stadium is still there. How many cards have we got left? We've got 5 cards left, so we need to be pretty conservative. So we are going to live stream here. We've only got 2 cards in hand. Oh, did I forget to retreat? No, I just got poisoned. Okay, so one of our HP shares is probably going to go on Xerneas, just in case we need to attack again. So we're down to one prize card. He is going to attack here with Psychic, which is going to add 60 damage onto the base. It's not going to knock us out, even though we are poisoned. And so we've just got to check how much damage we're going to do. So we're looking for 200. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, plus the choice band. So we're just going to live stream for the win. And there we go. We've got 43 seconds to spare. So victory against a pretty mediocre deck to me. But it shows that quite a simple deck where you just need to attach lots of energy can be really, really effective. Okay, after waiting the full time for the opponents to finish, on the other side of the draw, we are finally progressing to another game against another character who's playing a fighting and a colorless deck. So types not usually found in the super competitive kind of area at the moment. So we lose the coin flip, so the opponent does get to choose who goes first, and they choose themselves, obviously. Well, not obviously, but in 90% of the decks, it's good to go first. So this could be a Lycanroc, but Lycanroc usually plays a Raichu. So I'm interested to see what this deck is. We had to redraw. An opponent will get a mulligan because we didn't have a basic Pokemon. We start with just a Geomancy, but we do have a Bridget in hand, which is really, really cool. So we can actually Geomancy on our first turn. So that's not so bad. And again, we face a Tauros in the active spot. So I'm still trying to find out what this deck is. So they draw some energy off this item card called Professor's Letter, which is good for getting energy out of the deck. So this Regirock basically increases the damage. So we're definitely going to bridge it here. We're just going to get out 1, 2, 3 Xerneas. Do we really have to ramp? Not particularly in the early game. So I think 3 Xerneas is fine. Do we have a draw supporter? We don't, but at least we're going to be able to ramp up lots of energy. Should we get down Oranguru, which is like a good way to start drawing cards? We could play most of these cards down next turn, and that might be like a little bit of an insurance policy. So I'm going to do that. It doesn't look like it can really sort of interfere with that play with any ability lock or anything like that. So we are just going to Geomancy. There's no point in putting these down. I suppose I did say we want to lower our hand size, so if he bumps it, we can bump it again. And we're just going to Geomancy onto our 2 Xerneas here, and select the appropriate energy. Okay, so he's got a Fighting Fury Belt on his Tauros, which is going to really increase the HP, which is slightly annoying. But like I said, most experienced players tend to actually not play this in their deck. Exact competitions, most people are able to play around it. So famous last words, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, so he is playing Lycanroc, like I said at the beginning, but he's not playing it with what you'd usually do. So the Fury Belt is giving him an extra 10 damage. We do get a Xerneas break, so we can play that down. We'll wheel Choice Band. The good thing is we can attach energy. So we could bridge it, and then we could Oranguru as well. So that sounds like a good option to me. We can actually retreat this Pokemon as well into a healthy Xerneas, which might be something we do. So we will bridge it now. We're only going to be able to get 2. What is Lycanroc weak to? Grass. So we don't play any grass Pokemon, so that's unfortunate. So we're just going to concentrate on getting attackers out. So we're definitely going to get a Xerneas. It makes no sense to get the Tapu Lele down. I wonder if I should probably leave the slot empty, just in case we do need a draw supporter. That's what I'm probably going to do. We can attach energy to the Oranguru. We're going to draw 2 cards now with Instruct. and we get 2 fairy, which doesn't really matter. I hope that we can... Oh, I did say we're going to retreat, didn't I? So we're going to retreat into this healthy one. Maybe force a card out of him. And we're going to go 1 for the Oranguru and 1 for the other Xerneas. We've got plenty of energy still in the deck. So, there we go. I'm trying to think what stadium this deck actually plays, or whether it plays one at all. Because we could draw more cards if we get our Fairy Garden down. So it's very rare to attack with Regirock. These strong energies actually do 20 additional damage, so we could get up to 160. So again, we could retreat and just get loads more energy attachments. Do we want to attack yet? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So a Geomancy here is a good play. We're going to attach to the... How vulnerable is the Oranguru? Well, less vulnerable than all of our Pokemon with damage, to be quite honest. We don't even get to use the ability on Oranguru. But we're now going to ramp up the damage. I suppose we put 1 on here. 1 on one of these. Can he knock us out? Yeah, he can knock us out. He's doing 70 damage. But I think we're just going to do a job of spreading it. He could always Lysander and attack with this. But he's got to have a switching card. So I'm just going to do that. We'll have 1 energy remaining in deck, which is worth remembering. If we want to retreat anything. Maybe it was a mistake not to put down our Electrite, which is really good to just put loads of energy on. But at the same time, at least we have a space on our bench. So we can only one attack again. So we are going to knock him. We could knock him out next time. Let's just check our damage. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So we're doing 180. So we do need 40 more damage. So we have that with 1 more energy. And because we know we have the choice band here. So what supporters? We only have another Bridget. Can we draw our hand down? Well, we can, I suppose, once we play the Super Rod. So where do I attach this energy? I suppose I attach it here. And we just will retreat here. And hopefully I've done my mathematics right. Get the knockout. So 2 prizes. Hopefully we get a draw supporter here. We do get a max exit, and we get a double colours energy. So if the worst comes to the worst, we can get our Bridget down and just get some more basic Pokemon to attack with. So he doesn't even knock us out, which is just absolutely fantastic. We do actually get a Sycamore. We're going to knock this out. He's going to bring the Lycan up, and we really are in the ascendancy here. It's a shame to throw away the double colorless energy. It really is. So did I say we had about 1 more energy into the deck? So we might want to save that for this one. I suppose we could always burn the card anyway, just see what happens. So we don't get 1. Now, our decision here, is it worth Sycamoring? I think I'm just going to use the Bridget. Just to get another Pokemon down. Now we've got the draw supporter, there's less need to actually save that space for a Tapu Lele. Is there anything that's really worth it? Is he going to put lots of energy? Not really. So we'll just put our Electrite down. We know it's a safe haven for our double colours energy. And not that doing more damage really, really helps in this situation. But it's good to just put cards down where possible. If your opponent ends you, where you have to reshuffle all your cards in your hand into your deck, you won't redraw into these cards that you have to. So this Lycanroc has an ability here where he can actually bring one of our other Pokemon. So he decides to kill one of our active Pokemon. So we have free retreat, so it really doesn't matter who we bring up here. With 2 energies down, which is worth noting. So what we're going to do is use our Super Rod. We're going to get these Pokemon. But again, how important is it to have more energy? Not that important because these guys are ready to go. So that is absolutely fine. There's no point in any of these two cards. So we will actually discard those using our Ultra Ball. And we definitely need to remember to get down another one of our attackers. Now we've lost a choice band, which is worth noting. We're going to put it on... Well, it really doesn't matter, does it? That one. If we can use our Super Rod, we will, to just put down one more energy. It's always good to have energy in your deck. Oh, we could have Oranguru there, which is a bit of a mistake. And we do get a choice band, which is good. So we're definitely going to put it on the one that we're attacking with. We can Ultra Ball... basically these two, I think, are worthless at the moment. Definitely going to get down another one of these. Again, we're going to put it on this one because this one's got the energy required to attack. These are ready to go, so we can afford to put our XP share. Should we put it there? Or I guess because we're going to retreat that one, we can put it on this one just in case we need something to attack with. Even though this is more of a safe haven, we're just going to chuck that down and we're going to have a bunch of energy. So, this is for the game, live stream, and 270 damage, which is an absolute ton of damage. Not a basic Pokemon because we've evolved it to a break, but definitely a Pokemon that only gives one prize. Okay, we've got Caro in the final. It says it's starting in 10 seconds. So we're just going to see what deck he has in the opening screen. See if we can win this final. So electric and colorless. So that's definitely, well, I think that might be one of the Tapus. One of the electric ones. I think it's Tapu Koko. So yes, we're going to go first, which is always good in the final. So we're going to see what we get from our opening hand. So we start with a Xerneas, and we've got at least a draw supporter of some kind, so we're going to place that in the active. We can't Geomance in our first turn because we are actually going first. So that's unfortunate, but it's always good to get things down. So he's got a Magnemite. That is a Pokemon you don't tend to see too much of. So what are we going to do here? Well, we've definitely got our energy attachment for turn, which is good to take when you're going first. The experience share is very useful. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to Ultra Ball. Just got an Ultra Ball and the Fairy Garden. We're going to have a quick look at our deck, seeing it is the final. So 2 Tapu Leles, that's good. I think we're missing 1 Xerneas. I'm pretty sure we've got all of our break there. I think 1 VS Seeker down. I think we're a Stadium down as well. Choice Band down, I think. So nothing too bad at first glance. So we're going to get our Tapu Lele down, and we can really burn these cards so that we're thinning our deck for the next N. So Tapu Lele is going down. We are going to... Oh, I didn't check if Bridget was in, which would have been a disaster. But that card is there. So we are going to put it down and get 3 basics down. So I think it's going to be 2 Xerneas, which are the ones we have. And I don't know how much I'm going to have to ramp here. So I'm going to leave the other spots safe. What are they weak to? Again, I don't have any fighting. So I think that'll be okay for the time being. We're going to put an EXP share on one of them. We are going to Max Elixir. We do hit 1 in the top 6 cards of our deck. So we'll put that on this one to kind of spread the energy around. And that is going to be our first go. So our opponent will see that we only have 1 card, but he'll probably suspect it to be a draw supporter because it's rare that you go down. A Tierno, that is a card you do not see in competitive play at all because it's such a weak draw supporter. So I don't know how this guy's got to the final, to be honest, because he's playing some Pokemon that you wouldn't usually see, but hey, who am I to say? maybe it's throwing people off guard. So a Pokemon Catcher, again, another card you don't tend to see because it depends on a coin flip. But he's got 2 of them, so that's pretty unlucky. You would expect one of those to hit. And he's going to use the shock generator. And again, it tails. So 3 tails in 1 turn. It's so unfortunate. Now, when we end here, it's going to reshuffle his hand. And he didn't have anything great. I am going to do it, though, because Tempo, at this stage, it looks like he has a deck where he has to evolve his Pokemon. So I think Tempo here is quite important. So, what are we going to do here? We're just going to keep Geomancing, I think. So, we're going to put this one here. We're going to put this one here. I don't think this is a item lock deck at all, so we're safe to keep our VS Seekers. And we are just going to Geomancy onto, I think, this one and this one. So now they're almost ready to attack. I say almost because this one has an experience share attached to it. So if this Pokemon gets knocked out, which is unlikely at the moment, then the energy will go on to this Pokemon. So if there's an Acrobike, discarding one of his really weak draw supporters, the supporter is going to play as a Pokemon fan club where he can get basically any 2 basic Pokemon into his hand, maybe to help him draw. I'm trying to think what this deck is based around. He can paralyze us, which basically means we're so that we can't do anything for a turn. But we've got a draw supporter and we can build up the rest of our deck. Jolteon is a really interesting Pokemon that's seen a lot of play competitively because it can block attacks from basic Pokemon. But as soon as we evolve up our basics into these breaks, then we get around that. So he does paralyze. So it's warning us of that. So unless we have a item switching card, it's going to be pretty hard to do anything here. So this I'm going to attach to the Tapu Lele, and I'm definitely going to use an N here because to get rid of 3 VS Seekers is just too much. So we're going to use one of our supporters from our discard pile, and we're going to N. It is going to refresh his hand, but I'm relatively confident in this matchup, to be honest. Now, I don't know if it's worth using this Mewtwo because he's attaching energy to his Jolteon. We can't retreat. But we're going to put the Fairy Garden down anyway. And we will just break up, I guess. Just draw our hand down. We'll put the Choice Band here, since we know we're going to be attacking with these. And then we'll just pass over. So what this Magnemite does, the Pokemon, the stage 2 anyway, that evolves into, is basically allows you to attach lots of energy from your hand. So again, it's a card you don't usually see. So he's going to paralyze us and paralyze us. Maybe while he builds his board up. So we're just going to end. So maybe this is how he's won. Maybe he's gone to time. So we've got a Lysander, which is good, so we can really interfere. And we've got a Tapu Lele as well, so we can get a supporter that we want next time. We might as well attach this Choice Band. And we've got to play this carefully because he's got to the final. On not such a great deck. So he'll probably ramp up the damage on some of these. But I'm just going to pass and just see what he does. So this is probably an example of a deck that just throws people off because it's just not a strategy that you see. This Magnemite might just sit in the active and just paralyzes the whole time. So what we might have to do is Lysander up something that has a high retreat cost, which is probably going to be this Zapdos. Mind you, he might choose to retreat and start attacking with the Jolteon. Okay, so it looks like we are going to have to Lysander up this Zapdos and hope that he doesn't have a switch card. And our energy is ramping up, to be honest. So you might as well attach this one here. We will Lysander this up and we'll pass. And this paralysis will hopefully end. So we've got to hope he doesn't have a switching card. And we've got to keep checking our deck size. So we're quite similar. So he's attached something so we can do 20 damage. Okay, here we go. So we've got to think carefully here. So this Max Elixir is probably going to go to the Electrike. I think. We've got the retreat cost and everything else here. So he's going to keep. So this is going to be pretty tough, I think. So how many? I don't think we played that many switching cards. So it is going to be difficult. We really want to knock out these Magnemites, to be honest. Damage is not going to be a problem. It's going to be knocking out these tricky customers. But okay. We can play a Lysander. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 46. So we can get the Jolteon. Jolteon's not really a danger. It's these Magnemites that are going to keep paralyzing us, and we don't have a real good way to retreat. So we are going to Tapu Lele and hope that we still have a Lysander in deck, which we do. How many VS Seekers do we have? We have 2 VS Seekers. So these Lysanders are going to be pretty important, I do feel. Now, if we knock this one out, he's going to get 2 cards. But I'm just going to go for it because it's the one that has energy on. So I'm going to Lysander that one up. I'm going to free retreat into the one with the choice band. And I'm just going to live stream. This Lucky Helmet is going to enable him to draw a couple of cards. But it's not too much of a problem. Okay, so he sends up the Zapdos, which is really interesting because it doesn't have a great attack. Hopefully we get a VS Seeker so we can just knock out the other. I think this is going to evolve into something that's really good against EXs, but we don't have any on the board at the moment. I wonder if he thinks he can get us with this. But we know that we're a great Pokemon. Okay, so he's evolved that. So this at least is on a coin flip now. So energy shouldn't be a problem here. Okay, so he's got an EX. So we can, if he plays that down, that is another 2 prizes if we get a Lysander. So, okay, so 130 for an EX Pokemon. If we get a Lysander here, we're in good shape. We don't. We get a Sycamore. Do I just even up the price trade? In terms of an even number, so we can hit these 2. It may be worth doing it. Mind you, we could. Damage isn't a problem. What are we really looking for here? Just VS Seekers. We don't need these 2. I think it is worth Lysandering here. Sycamoring here to get some aggressive draw. And like I said, we do get our VS Seeker. We will. It's not likely, so we've got 3 here, so that's unfortunate. Is it worth thinning our deck if he ends us? Perhaps not. So at least we've got a VS Seeker for next turn. Where are we going to attach this? We'll attach it here, and we are going to live stream. 200 damage, so a while ago we were knocking everything out, and we know we've got an XP share here. We've just got to watch our deck size, because this seems like a deck that is all about kind of slowing you down until your deck runs out. So, if he attaches an energy here, he could paralyze us, which would be unfortunate, but at least it's on a coin flip. So what does this do? So we haven't got any Pokemon EX. So it doesn't really matter. He can't attack because there's attached energy here. So he's a very rarely played supporter. 4 energies in hand. He hasn't got his Magnemite. I think that, okay, so he'll probably evolve this up and attach energy wherever he likes. But I think we're always out damaging him. How many Super Rods do we have left? They might be important. So we've got 1 here. Okay, he doesn't even attack. So let's just go for the thing he has the most energy on. And we've even got a Super Rod here. So he hasn't even killed any of our Pokemon yet. So I'm pretty sure I'm just going to Lysander up the Jolteon. This has got the most energy on it. I guess we should attach an energy first, which I might as well put to the Tapu Lele just in case we need to retreat anything. I'm not going to put any energy back in, I don't think. We don't even have any. So we're only putting wasted Pokemon back in. So it's probably worth getting another break here. So definitely Oricorio. We'll get rid of the Super Rock because it's just not necessary. I'm not sure how many Pokemon he's going to knock out. So we'll put this down here. We'll just check what this attack is. So flip a coin, 40 more. If tails, the opponent Pokemon is now paralyzed. So that could be a problem. But I think because it's on a coin flip, we are going to take the prizes while we can. Lysander up this Jolteon. Because it's worth 2 prizes. And live stream for a ton of damage. 250. My goodness. We just got to watch the time now. 2 cards aren't really useful. We've already got energy. We're looking for our VS Seekers here. Our 2 Lysanders are in the discard pile. So, interestingly, he plays Fighting Energy. So, hey, there's the extra damage. So, we're so close to the end now. We're just going to keep this just in case we want it to go anywhere else, I guess. We are just going to knock this Pokemon out. We can retreat. We're just going to retreat into one that's not damaged. The Choice Band isn't doing anything anyway. And we're just going to live stream. Whatever he puts up next, he shouldn't be able to do too much with it. So we can... And he just concedes. I really don't know how this guy got to the final. Probably because people were unprepared and didn't recognize that automatic paralysis is really, really strong, especially against decks that don't play switching cards. We rely on our stadium to retreat, so we were pretty damn vulnerable to that deck, but we just kind of just thought about it logically, and then he didn't really have anything else. So we win the whole tournament. You can see that we get, let's see what packs we get. So we get 3 of the Sun and Moon Guardians Rising, which is great. And we get Sun and Moon base set 1, which is still somewhat valuable. And then these 2 aren't too valuable. But what we can do is use these cards to trade for other good ones. And we get a trophy. Well, I've got 22 of those, so I'm not too fussed there. All right, guys. I hope you guys pick up the Pokemon trading card game. As you can see, it's an unbelievable game. And yeah, see you later, guys. Bye-bye.